I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sains. I'm joined by my buddy Gordon Dymowski, my buddy Patrick McCray. We're here to continue our review of Archive 81, Episode 6 and Episode 7. Melody, she's she's an interesting character for sure, but to me, like, I like when I more prefer like the next episode than this one. Though this episode does build the next episode pretty well because you have for this episode the melody is come find me, and you do get the scene where Dan's dad comes in and he's more. Now, I don't want to reveal what happens because it would be a spoiler, but he comes in with these two people who look like I think they're either from a hospital or someplace, and they come in and they pull Melody out of the viscera. I won't reveal who they are, but they're not there to hurt her, is what I'll say.
They're the comedy stylings of Shields and Yarnell.
Yeah. The trick, the hint is that they do not. They're both silent.
Yeah, they are. They don't really do much talking. But Dan's dad does. He goes, Melody's camera is left laying there on the floor, which is really interesting. But I do like how, because Melody, she wakes up in that Samuel's room after the guy jumped in the previous episode. She passed out, and she comes to find out that it's the girl. They're going to use the girl they're going to kill her. They're going to kill
Yes.
Jeff. Yeah. Which was like, when you hear that, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, they're going to kill a teenager. If that, when it's like, that's a bit creepy. And Samuel was a creepy guy. You also find out even more that Martin Donovan's character is full of shit. I will say that I will spoil this. Martin Donovan's character, I feel he's more out to pull his brother out of that world too. That's what he's wanting. Mm-hmm. Which it's a great plot ploy. It's a great plot twist in a sense, because once you find out that's his brother, it's like, okay, what's he really after? Is he trying to pull this demon thing out of there too? Which we do see that in this episode too, that we see this demon can come through the screen via chant, which is really creepy. What did you guys think of all this in this episode?
It was the most accurate depiction of Caligo worship I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot, but this one got it right.
Yes, to a T. And these two episodes are the here's how it all comes together episodes. And Joel, I don't think you did episode 6 a good service, because there's a lot that happens in it besides the thing with Melody. You've got the discovery of the videotapes. You've got the discovery of the camera and Thomas Bellows and what he was doing.
Yeah.
You've got you've got Dan kind of realizing that, hey, look, there's something about that mold, which is, it's not just regular old mold. So it's saying, well, Melanie did that. These two are now it's all starting to come together. And I think you did this episode a real disservice, Joel. I mean, it's like you do Halloween Ends a disservice. It's the greatest film ever made.
In what world, old man? In what world? Anyway, I do like the mold, because actually Dan dreams about the mold. When he gets knocked out by Martin Donovan's character, he wakes up in his what his apartment was, and he's smiling, and you see the mold on his teeth. He spits out. Then he wakes up. That was a dream. The writers do a really good job with their plot points and plot twists, and keeping you on the edge of your seat here. I do like to me, the best thing about this episode is Melody figuring out about Jess, because Jess, she remembers what Jess asked her, and that's what Dan finds out too, that okay, they're going to kill Jess. And it's like, Jesus Christ, really? You're going to kill a kid to bring out this demon thing?
Well, let me stop you, because first I think Patrick wants to say something.
Rowan Morrison is not dead. Okay, go on.
Okay. This is not about bringing that demon in. And episode 7 lays it clear. The belief wasn't that it's not okay with this whole new world. It's not, we're going to bring this demon in and he's going to rule. That was the original intention. But what the idea is to bring this other world into our world, because it's confusing and it's upsetting and you need order. And when you go to flashback to 1929, a little bit of a historical lecture. So take notes, kids. There will be a quiz. There's a huge movement right after World War I called spiritualism, which is all about the belief that that instead of heaven, hell, earth, there was our world, there's a spirit world, and that we needed to figure out how to connect those two. And so I don't think they're trying to resurrect a demon to have it rule the world. I think what happened in 29 and what Martin Donovan and his brother are trying to do is to they release this thing in to somehow bring order to our world. See, when I watched it, I actually paid attention. I didn't have it on while I was writing my notes on Halloween Ends, which I think is a masterpiece.
Oh my God. I was paying attention. I just disagree with your point that I don't think order, maybe the original intent was about order, like the original that in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but generally different people have different motives. Now, Samuel's motive was maybe, I don't know. It's hard to tell with him because but he's so good.
It is hard because we don't know. Martin Donovan's character has not been very forthright.
No,
these are the episodes where he's confronted on it.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I'm going by what the episodes actually have said, because we do not have Martin Donovan saying, "Yeah, I'm doing this because of order." But I think prescribing they're doing this just so that a demon can run loose, I think is premature, and I think it's a bit simplistic.
Not run loose. I'm not necessarily saying run loose, but how do I put this?
You got to have boundaries when you bring a demon in. You've
got
to. Yeah, it's gotta learn. It's a kid like all of us. Developmentally, Jewel, that demon isn't going to be fully set until he's been on Earth for about 27 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. So they're trying to what? Like the way like Barnabas and Julia were doing Adam, or what?
I have no idea what you're referring to.
Doing Adam. You mean with chicken legs and shiny earrings?
Oh my God. No, not doing Adam. No. We can stop that.
Joel, how long have you had these feelings about Robert Rodin?
Oh my God. No, not doing Adam. That's not what I was meaning. I mean, the way...
We don't know what you meant.
The way Barnabas and Julia are trying to raise Adam and teach him, are you saying that's what they were going to do with the demon?
It's what you got to do when you bring a demon in.
Is teach the demon?
Yeah. I mean, come on. You're not going to be irresponsible. You got to have limits.
Let me use a different Dark Shadows metaphor. And I'm going to keep Julie, I'll keep Jewel distracted. You go get the knife. And Patrick and I will be eyewitnesses. He provoked you.
God, this really. Oh.
Okay, but let's use this in terms of the Leviathan storyline.
Okay.
Let's think of this as like a kind of interesting, more streamlined variation of it. Instead of the Leviathans are opening to put them in, they're opening a realm for Jeb Hawks to come in to serve as a Leviathan king.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like what he did in Dark Shadows, which is the. You okay, Patrick?
I'm just acting out what you're saying. He
okay.
becomes the king.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, so it's not this. I think it'll be episode 8 where it will be like Martin Donovan will reveal, like, yeah, I'm trying to get my brother out of there, or I'm trying to, because we honestly don't know what their relationship is. If it's a case of, and we know that he's not like, oh yeah, my brother can go hang out with that demon. He's always been a douchebag.
They don't seem to be from the same family. I mean, this is from the sort of family tree that gave us Lon Chaney Jr. springing from the loins of Claude Rains.
Yeah.
Hard to believe. I mean, and that's one of the things that I like about them, is that it suddenly makes Samuel even more alien than he was. So I think that's an interesting element in this. It's such a big responsibility. Let's bring a demon onto Earth. Let's bring hell on Earth. Is a tradition. It's a holiday tradition, really. And in terms of storylines that these cultists all want. And you really have to go through a lot of machinations to rationalize why.
Right.
Because then it really breaks down quite a ways. How did they find out about this cult? How did they find out that the cult was something that absolutely had verisimilitude, as opposed to all of the other cults and MLM schemes and things like that out there?
Right.
I mean, how do you differentiate between this and Amway? Well, you can't.
Yeah. And episode 7 does that, because the whole flashback is about the woman, the snuff film that starts this all off. The rationalization is they think that by bringing this Kylegan in, he will bring about a new world. In fact, when they talk about the mold in that particular episode, they use very Catholic imagery. It's his faith and inspiration. It's his body and blood. So the initial thinking was, we're going to bring this in to serve as a kind of leavening, because 1929, you've got World War II, you've got the start of Prohibition, and in a few years you're going to have the Depression. In fact, no, actually, I think 1929 was the
crash.
The crash. So you've got this, now, wait, Melody, is she in 94, 95?
94.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to think of like if there's any historical significance. Here, let's go.
94 was a pretty mellow year, I think. I mean, you had the contract with America. And that was about.
Okay, there's Kurt Cobain's suicide.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would be. I'm trying to think of what would be.
What year in the 90s was the first World Trade Center car bombing?
Oh,
that was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it was sometime in the 90s. but I don't know when. I mean, having been there, I'm not like there on the site,
Right.
but it was not. I mean, I'm sure if you were in New York, it's pretty terrifying. But in terms of world news and stuff like that, it was.
It wasn't like you could understand it if the flashbacks to Melody were like, say, 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
But there really isn't. With 94, I think it was just more like so that they could have like an even like 30-year gap. But I do think that it's very easy to say, well, they just want to have this demon out and about. I think there's an ulterior motive. I just don't think it's, I'm going to get my brother out of there. And I also think that it's in a show like this, especially with a lot of modern horror, it is very easy to look at it from a very superficial standpoint, because this isn't like most horror in my view falls into one of three big categories. There's the franchise. So you got your Conjuring, your Saw, your Halloween, your Friday the 13th, blah, blah, blah. You kind of have your gimmick horror. So like your Saw, your Scream, your Winnie the Pooh slasher movies. And then you've got intellectual horror, which is a little bit more artsy. Sometimes a little bit more about ideas, like movies like Midsommar, The Wicker Man, Jordan Peele's movie. And I think this falls into that. Because it's not just a straightforward, okay, things go spooky, and scare you. It's also very noir influenced, because a lot of it is about conspiracies and shady things going on. So it's not a straightforward devil cult movie where it's like, oh, there's a devil cult. Who's in the devil cult? I'm in the devil cult. Let's sacrifice. It's very much about how we perceive the past and how we we talked about this last time, how we're watching a video, so we're somehow complicit in all this kind of layer upon layer of reality and fantasy kind of merging through. And I think that these two episodes kind of lay the groundwork for, basically, they're bringing this kind of Lovecraftian otherworld in our world are touching. The 29th episode 7 explains kind of why they're doing that. And the end of episode 7 is the conclusion is we need to pull Melody out of there. And don't forget, Melody, the thing about episode 7 is it explains what happens when you don't have a member of this coven. Because Melody, the reason they're of interest is that she's not the sacrifice. She's the coven. They killed it. They wanted to kill Jess. Well, they killed a maid for doing nothing other than speaking with an Irish accent. I mean, I think I made the mistake of actually watching the episode rather than like having it on while I'm doing my laundry. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know.
No, you saw it more recently than I did. I have.
Oh no, I wasn't talking to you about you, Patrick.
Oh Lord, you boys. You're like Sonny and Fredo.
Oh my God,
Jewel, you're definitely Fredo.
When you get a message from Jewel that asks, "Hey Gordon, if I said you had a beautiful body, would you hold it against me?" I'm like, what?
Oh my God! Oh my
Will
God!
You stop harassing Gordon?
I
will file the PFA for you, bud. Leave him alone.
He treats Gordon like a piece of meat.
Yeah,
He'll Jewel will drop a pencil and he'll say, "Gordon, would you bend over and pick that up?"
Joel
kind of does that, even though Gordon's in Chicago. It's very weird.
I feel your pain, Gordon. He does the same thing to me.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Joel, you need to stop. You got a problem, okay?
I've got so many. Anyway.
Well, quit treating poor Gordon like a piece of meat there.
It's a very freaky Jewel, the kind you don't bring home to mother. But he'll never let your spirits down.
Once you get him on the street.
Yeah. Just like the guy who came out of the building and crashed and died.
You get on there and you talk, you see your
Oh,
You know,
meanwhile, they're treating poor Gordon like a piece of meat, and poor Patrick's got to be the witness to all this low down. Joel.
You know, one of the things that I really like about this show, and episodes 6 and 7 have a lot of this in it, is that everyone, including the bad guys, are optimists. You know, Jess wants an entire world within her. So does the Irish girl. That, you know, really, Martin is an optimist that he can do this. Samuel is an optimist. There is such positivity in their weird way. And Dan and the podcast guy, Tuesdays at 8. What's his name again?
The
podcast fellow.
Mike?
Mike.
Matt?
Yeah. That Dan and Mike, you know, both of these episodes have a real sense of to the Batmobile among the good guys. I mean, they really do. There is and that builds as the series goes on.
Well,
not that it has much further to go.
No, it doesn't. We're almost done with the series, which is good. But with these episodes, Melanie realizing that, you know, by Samuel telling her, "Oh no, we need you for the ceremony because, you know, you're a part of the ceremony. We need your help with it." Basically, is what he's telling her. And you know, she wants no part of it. You learned that he faked a letter that Melody's mother was at the Visser, and you also learned that Dan's dad, he used Dan's dad in every way. Not with Dan's dad's knowledge, mind you, in a sense that it was really, really messed up. And that's what she's telling him, like, you're no, go fuck yourself. I'm not, no. And you sort of appreciate that from this, you know, protagonist that, you know, just no, I'm not giving you what you want. No, that's not why I came here. And it's nice to see characters with different motives, for one, and to have those, one who has sincere motives to look for her mother, and one that's just a complete dick and just worried about some demon.
You know, if Dark Shadows had not been so concerned with stretching the story out for as long as possible, Dan is the sort of protagonist that Elliot Stokes would have been written to be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just absolutely firmly convinced that what he's doing is right based on good evidence and acting on it. You know, but real life doesn't give us that as often as we'd like. And that's another reason why Dark Shadows is you know, most realistic show on TV. In its own metaphorical way.
Yeah. What did you guys think about them going back in time to the 20s? What did you guys think about that?
It's paging Dark Shadows.
Yeah, you needed the whole story has been built around this incident that happened where they have a crappy copy of a film, and there's all this mythology about it. And what it does is the flashback does a couple of things. It explains the complete context. It explains what's going on. And I think most importantly, throughout the series, this is about one of the subtexts is people being able to tell their own stories and having documentation. You know, you have all these videotapes that he's reconstructing. The audience needs to see what really is the cause of all this. And what you see is all of this was started by someone who had the noblest of intentions. You know, all she wanted to do was to bring a better world. She just had a funny way of doing it. It gets messed up because the coven person they had gets shot. and they managed to get some kind of success with it. But I think that they kind of had to at this point. Otherwise you have in Dark Shadow, in any other series, it probably would have been like somebody reading from a news article or a history book about this.
It's very generous,
right.
that they actually lavish this flashback on us. I mean, I think that's just really cool, and they pull it off.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed is that this is the only, part of it I'm sure was budget, and part of it was, may not have been intentional. But a lot of the sets from that it happens, the apartment building, the, Dan's little bunker, those are all relatively like dull and gray. There's not a lot of life to them. You've got the podcast studio has some life to it. Mike's apartment has life to it, but this really has a little bit more. It looks a lot more lived in. Mm-hmm. It looks opulent. It looks nicer, for lack of a better term.
Well, something we're going to come to find out too, not in these episodes, is the woman that's been coming around where Mike's been reviewing the tapes is Melody's mother.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she has the same ability as Melody, so go figure.
Yeah, She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Yeah, I will say that I wonder, when I first watched this series, I'm thinking this woman is not just here because she's scoping out, because she works for these people. No. Then when the shoe dropped, I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
It's a great shoe to drop. Also,
yeah, it is.
It should feel real matchy. It should be a little too on the nose, but no, that's what a mom would be doing, especially with these plot circumstances.
Here's the thing too. She went into hiding too because she didn't want anybody to find her, especially these people like Martin Donovan's character and et cetera, et cetera. That's why she left Melody. She always figured they'd be hunting her.
Did you read my
computer? Probably. So I believe so. Is there anything you guys want to add about these episodes before we go?
They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels, there's stories and you can really feel the writing in them. You can feel the effort of constructing this plot point and that plot point, going all Robert McKee on it. And then sometimes you have a story that just feels like it was discovered. Mm-hmm. And this really feels discovered. And I can't wait for episode 8.
Yeah, and I like the fact that after Dan discovers the camera with Thomas Bellows, and he looks at a videotape, he pops it in. He's watching, and it's a clip from General Hospital from the late 80s. So I thought, oh, okay, they just threw in that randomly. And as he's removing the labels, it's like, no, it's actually ABC's daytime lineup from the 80s. And I thought it was a clever touch, because mostly in a show like this, you probably wouldn't be bothered to make that kind of mention. You'd probably say, okay, it's some kind of obscure thing that he's writing about. So it adds a little bit of gravitas.
Yeah.
Did you catch the other ABC show mentioned, not in this episode, but in a couple episodes prior to this?
Hardcastle and McCormick.
What Mike says to Dan, how are you going to MacGyver your way back into the base? Another
like
ABC,
late season Pete.
Another ABC show. So I get the creators of Archive 81, or at least the writers of this show, are fans of ABC.
Well, keep in mind, MacGyvering stuff has actually entered the popular lexicon. It's not necessarily an ABC thing.
Well, yeah, but it was on ABC too.
Been on it, but
Points
it's like saying
proved.
it's like saying, oh, okay, well, it's like saying, okay, Beam Me Up, Scotty means you liked NBC in your youth.
No one liked NBC in their youth. Let's face it.
Yeah. About the only good thing NBC did was Rosalind Shays in an elevator shaft on LA Law.
You got me on that one.
Yeah, this is a really good show. If you haven't checked out Archive 81 on Netflix, do so, or the podcast on Amazon. There'll be another link to it in the description box. Guys, anything you want to add before we go?
No, it's good stuff. When do we know we're doing Soylent Green tomorrow?
9:45, or do you need 10 o'clock so I can mess this book?
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay, 9:45 is good. So 9:45 for Soylent Greens Friday. Then I think we could wrap up Archive 81 Saturday, guys, right?
Sounds good to me.
Saturday night, Archive 81. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, no, wait. Sorry, before I go. Crap. Sunday, we got to wrap up Archive 81. So.
Okay, Sunday.
Hey,
Patrick, if you're watching, Sunday.
Just
a reminder.
I'll message him. Bye, guys.